Greetings, my beer-loving friends. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Glad you're here with us. Today is May the 5th. May is, of course, one of our months in spring. And spring is a good season. And that leads us to the beer we're going to be drinking today. We're going to be drinking a style called a Saison, or season beer. It's a French term, of course, naturally, from Belgium. And this one isn't from Belgium. This one's actually from Oxford, Connecticut. But we are going to be drinking the OEC Saison beer. And we're going to find out what makes it tick. And we're going to do it on... So I was in my local beer vendor and I saw this can in the back and I just had to try it. I'm not a big fan of that style of beer. It's a little too tart for me. It's a little bit too sour, but I had to try it. This is from OEC, the Ordinum Eccentricatores, Order of Eccentric Brewers. And it's in Oxford, Connecticut. It is the OEC, well, plainly said, Saison. Seasoned beers were brewed during cooler months. You'll find out that in a minute. And they were brewed with more wild yeasts. We're going to get into this in just a few seconds. But first, let's talk about what a Saison beer is. And we're going to do it right now.
Beer through history.
Saison, a Belgian farmhouse ale, embodies the essence of tradition, craftsmanship, with seasonal flair. With a rich history dating back centuries, this style of beer has captivated the palates of beer enthusiasts worldwide. Saison is French for season. The roots of Saison can be traced back to the French-speaking region of Wallonia in Belgium, where it was brewed on farms during the cooler months. Brewers crafted Saison with local ingredients, often using a combination of barley, wheat, and spelt, along with the distinctive yeast strain that thrived in the open fermentation vessels of farm breweries. Saison uses yeast strains such as Saccharomyces cerevisiae, variation diastaticus, which impart spicy, fruity, and earthy flavors to the beer. These yeast strains ferment at higher temperatures, resulting in complex esters and phenols. This yeast also has the ability to ferment sugars that other yeast strains cannot, leading to a dry finish with a crisp, refreshing quality. Saison typically exhibits a hazy golden hue. The beer may appear slightly cloudy due to the presence of proteins and yeast in suspension, adding to its rustic charm. The nice white head often crowns the glass, releasing aromas of spice, fruit, and a hint of earthiness. The flavor palette of Saison is diverse. Traditional examples tend to emphasize a balance between fruity esters, peppery phenols, and a subtle malt sweetness. Brewers often incorporate spices, herbs, fruits, and even barrel aging to add complexity and depth to their Saisons, resulting in a wide spectrum of flavors ranging from citrusy and tropical to funky and tart. In recent years, the popularity of Saison has surged within the craft beer community, with breweries around the world putting in their own spin on the classic style. From traditional Belgian brewers like Brasserie Dupont and innovative American craft breweries, Saison continues to evolve while remaining true to its roots.
Well, there you go. That's the definition of a Saison beer. We're going to have one of these. We're going to crack it open, and again, we're going to see what makes it tick. Now, to do that, I'm going to go ahead, that's in the can right here. This is our little can of Saison from OEC Brewing, Oxford, Connecticut. Now, it's 5.5% alcohol by volume. I'm going to have some beer specs coming up here shortly. Let's see if I can see anything else here. It says, we brew our Saison in a classic single infusion mash with Belgian Pilsner and Vienna malt, and locally grown unmalted wheat and rolled oats from Thrall family farms. It's spiced with grains of paradise prior to undergoing a warm open fermentation using traditional Saison yeast strains resulting in a citrusy and refreshing beer. Now, as we learned in the Beer Through History, a Saison can have a lot of adjuncts to it. This could have a lot of adjuncts, okay? What do they call it? The grains of paradise. And they also said it was openly fermented, which means it, like a lot of its Belgian counterparts, can infuse itself with wild yeasts. As mentioned, I believe, in the Beer Through History, one way to drink this would be to carefully decant it. Open it, decant it, pour it into a tulip, I mentioned tulip glass, and let it come down, and of course it's going to be a little clearer. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to gently roll it, because any sediment, any type of remaining particulates in the beer, but any particulates are going to be in the bottom. Now, you've seen me do this before, where I take a beer and I'll gently roll it, or I'll pull some of that sediment down from the bottom. It gives it a lot more tart taste to it. And to me, in a lot of ways, it does enhance the flavor. So let's go ahead and crack it open. I'm going to gently roll it. As I do this, this is to make sure that it doesn't come out with a bunch of foam. I'm not going to sit there and shake it. I'm gently rolling it, and that releases that sediment from the bottom, lets it float inside, lets it get incorporated. Now, I'm going to hold it up here to the microphone. I'm going to crack it. We're going to hear what it sounds like. I love that. Oh, that was beautiful. Now, it did foam up just a little bit. Not much, not too terribly. I'm going to pour this again to the side because I don't want it to over foam. Don't want to give too much head. Pour it in my nice tulip glass here. Oh, look at that. It's like the color of good lemonade. We'll talk about that in a minute. And as you see, it is very, very foamy. It's got a lot of good head to it. And it's coming up, and again, we're going to that in the appearance. But I want to go ahead and show you that. As you can see that foam right there. Oh, okay. So remember, we judge our beers on the 5 categories of the Beer Judge Certification Program. That's the aroma, the appearance, the taste, naturally, the mouthfeel, and the overall impression. Now, I expect a lot out of this beer. Saison beers are kind of unique in the sense of how they taste and how you get your impression of that beer. In this case, I can already smell it. I mean, it's just a lovely smell. I'll just leave that as is. Now, I can already smell the lemon. I can already smell the citrus. I can already smell the spice from here. Because there was a lot of head in there, and it's releasing that flavor, that aroma. I'm actually also smelling a lot of the Vienna Lager. Remember I said it was Pilsner and Vienna Lager. Grains of Paradise. And yes, later on now I'm smelling more grapefruit, more citrusy, just lemony. I smell a lot of good lemon in there. And as of the appearance, it is the color of good lemonade, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit more yellow, maybe a little bit more orange. It's very hazy. There's no particulates floating around in there, not that I had expected. I don't see anything coming down at the bottom. There's a lot of good bubbles along the inside of the glass. The head didn't stay long. I mean, it's relatively cleared up a little bit on the inside. It looks like a little bit of an iceberg in there. I see a little bit of Brussels lace. I'll use this. A little bit of Brussels lace around here. Not much, but enough to say at least you've got some strength to the beer that will hold on to the head. But yes, okay, so this one I would say an SRM color of about 5, maybe a little bit more. I'm going to have to go check that. It could be around the 7 or 8 range. But the haziness is quite hazy. Again, it looks a little bit more like lemonade. Now, let's get into the taste, because that's what you're here for. You want to know what it tastes like, what it actually, that impression right there leads you to that impression. This is a great balance. Very lemony on the back end, right in the tongue. Yes, it almost tastes like a good blood orange. Let's see what else I can taste. I can taste the malt. I can taste the Vienna malt. I could taste a little bit of toastiness, a little bit of caramel, a little bit of toastiness. Spices. Now, I don't really know what Grains of Paradise specifically is going to taste like, but I would imagine that's pulling in some of that flavor. I do believe they said there's wheat in there, rolled oats, yep, unmalted wheat, which is an adjunct. That's designed to allow the beer to have a little bit more ability to produce sugar. Yep, still tasting a lot of good citrus. Now, it is also not tart. It doesn't have, like I said, it's like eating a blood orange, but not necessarily a lemon or something heavily tart. It's very enjoyable. Yes, it is very smooth for a season or Saison beer. Now, in terms of the mouthfeel, right now there's not a lot of carbonation in there, so it's not going to give that carbonation bite. It doesn't say cloyingly sweet. I think the tartness lends to a good, clean mouthfeel. You're not going to be hit with an overall sense of this is way too tart. This is like sucking on a lemon or a grapefruit. Scale of 1 to 10, I'd say it's probably about a 5. But the mouthfeel is pretty much middle of the road. You still have some gas coming off. Not a lot. Again, not overwhelming. Just right on the money. Okay, now impression. So I'm not a big Saison guy. Okay, I'm just not. This is actually pretty good for this style of beer. I don't really like things like sours. I'm okay with IPAs if they don't get too much into the citrusy flavor. This one is well balanced. You don't get that overwhelmingly citrus flavor. I would say it's really one of those types of beers you're going to invite people over. You may have one of these, you may have a tasting. May serve that with things like cheeses or small, charcuteries, okay? I think that would be a really good idea, charcuterie. So overall impression, what would I rate it? I would say about 3.5 to 4 out of 5 hops. It was scaled to 1 to 10. I would say somewhere between 7 and an 8, maybe a little higher than that. But fortunately, this doesn't have all that sour to it, so I'm going to rate it pretty high. Now, we're going to talk about the beer specs here in just a few seconds, and we're going to do it on
OEC Saison, OEC Brewing, Ordinum Eccentricity Coctores. Style, American Saison. ABV, 5.5. SRM, 7 to 10. IBU, 14.
Well, there you have it. The OEC Saison from OEC Brewing in Oxford, Connecticut. If you ever get a chance, do go out and try to find this beer. Give it a taste. I think you're going to like it. Now, remember, subscribe, right? Ring that notification bell. Get notified the next time we have an episode. And remember, tell your friends about the channel. Let's help us grow the channel. Give us some love. Give us some thumbs up. And we really, really do appreciate you being here. It absolutely makes us happy to know that we're passing on some fantastic information about beer. We always love doing that. Now, in the links below, I do have some descriptions for some resources. You have the Beer Review Logbook. Get it off of Amazon, $8.99. Take it with you. Stick it in your pocket. Go to a brewery or a tap room or wherever you want to experience great beer and write down your experiences. Again, it's going to use the same 5 categories that the Beer Judge Certification Program does. Okay, so be able to write that down. If you're ever in the upstate of South Carolina, remember the Upstate Ale Trail. We have some great breweries up here. They're all listed in these books. You go through, you check them off, you rate your beers, you put what your experiences are down there. Some are out of business, so you may want to call in to see if they're still around, but generally speaking, you can find these at pretty much any good beer venue around the upstate of South Carolina. I wish they did that in other places. Now, this is our Total Wine Total Guide to Beer. If you can find it at a Total Wine, please go right on ahead. This is a little bit of an old book, but it's my little Bible. This will tell me everything I need to know about any beer ever made. It's great stuff. And of course, the Beer Judge Certification Beer Score Sheet. Link down below. Take it, print it out. If you don't want to take the logbook, take this with you, fold it up, put it in your pocket with a pen, and review your beer right there. It's got the 5 categories of your beer judgment. It's got a list of off flavors. That's what I really like about that. So if you get stuck on something, what am I tasting? Why does this taste a little bit weird? You can definitely see right here what you're tasting. Now, again, remember, subscribe. Okay, ding, ding, ding. Ring that notification bell. Get notified the next time we have an episode here. Show this video to your friends. Pass the video along. Tell them about it. Let's help us grow the channel. Give us a thumbs up. We always like the good likes here. We like the love, right? Help us grow the channel. And again, thank you very much. So, Prost, Chin Chin, Kanpai, Salud, Slancha, and of course from America, cheers. That one was very good for Saison. Peace, love, and beer.